Hopefully you can't hear it, but there's a giant fan in this office that runs all the time, super loud, and I figured out the gain settings with this microphone to get it to where I don't have to shut the air conditioning off for the entire house. So it's a win for the guys in the residence. They don't have to go 30 minutes with no AC in the hot summer Brunswick days. It's been a rainy situation here this week. It's like little thunderstorms will come in and just start lightning striking and downpouring, and it'll last maybe like 30 minutes, and then it'll go away, and then it's like super bright and sunny outside. And I like the ecosystem here in old Brunswick, Georgia. But yeah, I'm glad you joined. I'm glad you listened. Once again, I've got another announcement to make. I have notes. I can't believe it. These notes, let me tell you about these notes, you guys. I mean, listen, sometimes when you're preparing for a show, you've got an idea of what you want to do, things you want to talk about. You have quotes, you have an outline. We got something today. I actually wouldn't consider it even a full sentence. It is a series of words, one after the other. For our notes today, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. So we've got ego, identification, self, me, and meditation. So where do we start? Okay, so I also have a story I want to share about something I experienced last night, and I think that's what facilitated this topic for today. Is I guess we can start with talking about what it means to represent the ego, or what the ego is, or what ego, personality, me. So, and I don't have any material for this show. I'm interested in seeing if I'm able to talk about these things in my own language. I'd like to be able to communicate them in a way that can be understood. I'd like to be able to share something that could be helpful for you as you navigate the day, as you navigate today. And I guess the challenge is for me can I do this without referring to any outside material? And so the first thing I'd like to talk about is the ego, the me, the personality. So from what I can tell, the ego is almost a character that forms through experience, the character of who I am. And you can hear a lot of people, like there's this whole movement with Ryan Holiday and Stoicism, and there's a book called Ego is the Enemy. And I think that ego is referring to negative qualities of the ego, things like pride, greed, ambition when it's untethered or unchecked. Ambition could also be a positive aspect of the ego. But yeah, the book title is Ego is the Enemy, and I think a lot of times we start to think, especially if you're hip to this spiritual type, meditation type way of existing or being in the world, you could think that the ego is a problem or something to be alleviated or taken away or removed. Like I've got to lose my ego, and that's not helpful. The ego is a byproduct of existence. It is a totally natural occurrence. We can't exist without one. I mean, you can. There's people that have. I talked about one of them in the last episode. It's possible to exist without one, but it's not the point. The whole point of the ego or the me is to see it for what it is. So there's a whole school of psychology, Jungian psychology, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that talk about the personification or the characterizations of how the ego manifests in one's life. And there's other whole areas of getting to know the different characters that exist within me. Like there's the rapping Adam, there's the philosophizing Adam. There's the AA Adam. There's the sober living house manager director Adam. Like, and there's a song by the Shins called "Sleeping Lessons," and I'll put it at the end of this episode. But it's a great song because it one of the taglines is there's a million different versions of myself. So who am I really? And the ego is something that arises as a means of navigating and interacting with the world itself. And the world is a mind-based creation. Okay, that's a big concept. Let me hang on that for a second. But the world as we perceive it, or the world as it's lived in society and the day-to-day comings and goings of people, is in a lot of ways is mind-based. People are, me included. There's ways, there's social ways in which I show up, and games that are played to exist as a reasonably grounded or realistic person on this planet, like taxes, laws. These things were all created as a form of order to make order out of the chaos that can arise, the chaos and the disorder that can occur when emotions and the fallibility of man and the wants and desires of man are at play, and also like the imperfections of man are at play. There's these things that are created to create some semblance of order. So the ego forms as a means of interacting with and navigating through that. And that's totally fine, totally okay, totally cool. That's really all it is. Like the ego is just the thing, like the thing that arises as a means of interacting or navigating through time and space. And I use words like time and space, and I use words like that are kind of wooey. Because at the end of the day, what I'm really attempting to speak to is the true, like your true self, or the true self behind all of this mind stuff, or behind all these societal expectations or ideas about who or what I should be. And a trick of the ego is the ego, once it's at play, if I lose awareness, I'll start to identify with the character that has showed up to play these games. So before I go into this, I want to just clear something out for someone who may be kind of new or fresh to some of these concepts I'm talking about. But there's the me that shows up, and the me that does things, and the me that interacts in the world. And there's the me that witnesses, judges, and examines what it is I actually do, or what I did on a day-to-day basis. It's like you make a mistake, and then you feel bad about yourself, and all these thoughts and feelings are called up, and you're like, what do I do about this? How do I fix this? How do I solve this? How do I change? All those things. So you've got this this part of you that's witnessing your experience as you're having experience. If I don't exercise that muscle, that muscle of awareness, of witnessing what's going on, I'll start to think I am what's going on, or that's a bad way to say it. I'll start to identify with the things that I did, and I'll start to identify with the things that were accomplished, or I'll start to identify with the things that had failed, and I'll beat myself up, or I'll build myself up. So this muscle of awareness gets commandeered by the ego as well, because the awareness, the space out of which I'm seeing myself, or the space out of which thoughts and emotions and all the other stuff occurs, is starting to entangle itself with the ego. And beliefs get formed, ideas, perspectives, and judgments begin to, it's almost as if they, I'm try to figure out a way to say, this is what I'm talking about, the challenge of talking about this stuff. It almost becomes like barnacles around your spirit when beliefs and ideas about who or what I am, or who or what you are, or what this is form. It's the mind creates a cage. It limits the potentiality of my own ability to experience the fullness of life. It's all mind based. I start to fit myself into a box and try to measure myself up to the things I'm seeing in the world, and that's where we get all these conditions, like, I'm just a guy, but like depression, anxiety, neuroses. These are all things I've experienced that have been a direct result of the way in which I perceived myself and the way in which my ego had formed without my consent. And so when those things happen, I start to get stress, when I'm identified with what's going on in my life. Stress occurs. Stress leads to illness. Illness leads to bad times. And I guess my hope is with talking about this and explaining it, my hope would be it could alleviate some stress, because I've found that at least what I've been practicing today, and what seems to be very helpful is practicing the awareness of what's going on without judging it, and without it needing to be any different than it is, and just being uncomfortable for the sake of uncomfortability itself. The mind is a marvelous mechanism because it creates all sorts of stories and narratives, and it tries to make me feel better. Like, the mind tries to make itself feel better. The ego wants to make itself feel better. So it weaves stories about itself as a means of protecting, or forming a protection, because for some reason it thinks it needs to be protected. It thinks it needs to live. And I'm speaking to it like it's a real thing. It's not. That's the other thing. None of it is real. And one of the best parts about meditation is returning to what is real, returning to what is. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee, because that's where we're going to go now, is actual meditation. Because I think I got through most of the notes. I'm not trying to do like a full hour-long discussion on this. So recognizing what is and what is real, anybody can do it any time. Like, I can clap my hand. That noise you just heard, like the sound of my voice, the wind blowing near you, the trees appearing on your drive, like whatever's going on, like right now, is what's real. My thoughts about it, or my ideas about it, or my projections about where it's going or where it's been are not real. And when I think about why I'm sharing this and why this is of interest to me, is because as I exist on this planet, I'm interested in having a real experience. I'm interested in being connected with this power, or this force that continues to express itself and create itself through every moment at all times. And from what I can tell, when I lose my ideas and conceptions about who or what I am, and when those caricatures that show up in my life to play a certain role for a certain thing dissipate, I can return to this space of being, this space of comfort and relaxation and awareness with what is. And if I don't know if I'm not able to differentiate, the true from the false, delusion from reality, I'll get tied up and knotted up in the mechanism of the mind, and I will become stressed out, sad, and depressed. Like, it's just been proven to me. If I pay attention to what's going on up here and I start to believe what's going on up here, I don't have a good time. So returning to what is real is super important to me, because when I am engaged with what's real, amazing things happen. And there's a book called The Course in Miracles, and it talks about, it's like an exercise book. It's pretty cool to look at if it's of interest to you. But it's like an exercise book that helps to align oneself with. Okay, I'm gonna say it. It attempts to align oneself with the ultimate creative spirit of the universe. That's basically what it's designed to do. And one of the things that it says in that book, which has proven true to my experience, there's a thing it says that if you can drop everything that you think about what should happen, everything you think about what you are or how things should go, if you can drop all that, reality will create itself for you, and it will be better than anything you could ever possibly imagine. I mean, yeah, and that's been my experience. It's way better than the things I think should happen. Like it's weird to think about. Like if I think of like my myself, my body, my personhood as like a vessel, on the planet, a vessel in the stream of life, or like a fish in the ocean with all these other fish moving and making plays and living in society. If I look at it like that, and then I look at the forces at play beyond my comprehension. Like, what is it that's breathing me? What is it that's sustaining oxygen in our environment? What is it that's causing me to wake up in the morning? What is it that's allowing a thought to occur? What is it that's allowing an awareness of that thought, and then the recognition of the delusional nature of that thought to reorient back to being? Like, what is that? There's things going on beyond the realm of my comprehension that's like moving, or like it's moving the vessel, it's moving the boat of my own life. And I've got I can make a decision in any moment of like, am I going to steer this boat where I want it to go, and like pull the oars as hard as I can to go to some other direction, or am I going to lean into it and recognize what's going on, and float along with what is. Yeah, it's like and I guess I've been seeing this last week in my meditations is like the most valuable use of my effort, it seems, is to be in meditate, to return to the breath, return to awareness. That's where I can put my effort, because all these other actions are taking place that are great. They happen on their own. It's incredible. I don't know how to. I mean, ancient philosophies and mystics and spiritual texts have talked about this, and but it's really not wooey. It's practical. Well, it's not practical. It's yoga. It's experiential. It's something that can be tested. Like somebody, like you could test this and try this and like, or engage with this type of material or this type of thought that I'm sharing with you. You can just follow your interest, and better ways of being will happen on their own. Like if you give a flower water and kind words, it blooms great. So yeah, I was gonna share a story. I mentioned that in the beginning. I don't think I want to anymore. I told my story at a treatment center, like 40 guys last night at like a treatment center. And I was going to talk about what that was like, because I think I have come to a conclusion, a decision about my life. I did it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not telling my story anymore. I'm done. I'm done with this. And I don't know. It was a lot of me, and I'm not like. I would like to, next time someone asks me to tell my story, I'd like other people to be involved. To be quite honest, like I'd like to answer questions. I'd like to share things, and just talk freely, because I went into that with a character. I went into it with, there's still some of this AA guy, that thinks I have to show up in a certain way. And I mean, it's good to do that when you're in those types of environments. I guess I've just got to figure out what my own way of doing that is, given the game that recovery can be. But yeah, I hope you're well. I hope this found you well. I hope you're doing okay. And we're going to listen to the Shins, because there's a million different versions of yourself. And there's another quote in the song where it says, if the old guard the old God, if the old guard still offends, there's nothing left from which you defend, so off with their heads. So basically, you don't have to believe anything you don't want to believe, and you don't have to follow any ideology or any rule set system that doesn't connect with you.